So glad you're joining us today. Have you ever noticed how the sheer gravitational pull of fame can completely warp reality? It really makes you wonder how much of what we read is actually true and how much is just a really compelling narrative. Today, we're diving into what I like to call the celebrity distortion field. We're going to look at 4 distinct, highly publicized controversies surrounding some of the most famous faces on the planet. Our goal here? To objectively separate the established facts from all that swirling public fiction, relying purely on the evidence and direct statements from the people involved, completely tuning out the noise.
So here is our agenda for today. We've got 4 acts to get through: the physical image, the family identity, the public fallout, and finally, the external impact. Let's jump right in.
Act 1. The physical image. Specifically, Kris Jenner's facelift.
So, the big question everywhere right now, did a $100,000 facelift actually fail? You've probably seen the rumors flying around that Kris Jenner's face was quote-unquote slipping after she was caught out without full glam, and that she was supposedly absolutely furious with her doctor's work. The internet basically took a couple of split-second candid photos and spun them into this massive botched surgery crisis. But is there actually any truth to that dramatic claim?
Well, the short answer is a resounding no. Kris Jenner herself directly addressed these rumors, and she did not mince words. She said, "I love my facelift. I adore my doctor. I think he's a genius." Actually, she was pretty upset by the whole thing, not because of her face, but because she felt like these false rumors were unjustly dragging her surgeon, Dr. Stephen Levine, through the mud. It is a classic example of how quickly an entire story can just be fabricated out of absolutely nothing.
And naturally, this instantly turned into a whole medical debate online. Part of the rumor mill suggested she had the wrong procedure. Reportedly, her doctor does a lateral smastectomy, which is basically lifting the deeper muscle tissues to tighten things up. But all the armchair experts on the internet were arguing she needed a deep plane facelift, which goes even deeper to detach and lift the whole facial structure. So suddenly, gossip turned into this highly technical proxy war over plastic surgery techniques, completely ignoring the fact that the actual patient is perfectly happy.
But what does the actual science say here? Well, 10 is the magic number. Recent medical studies show that both the deep plane and the SMAS facelifts basically have an average lifespan of about 10 years. The longevity isn't purely about the depth of the technique. It depends heavily on the surgeon's experience, the patient's lifestyle, and, just the fundamental quality of their tissue and their age.
Which brings us to the real culprit here: the Photoshop effect. The perceived failure of the facelift wasn't a medical issue at all, it was an expectation issue. People were literally comparing these heavily filtered, layered digital images to realistic, raw paparazzi photos of a 70-year-old woman who is just going through a natural healing process. I mean, gravity and time come for us all, right? But the distortion field of social media makes the public expect literal, unaging perfection. Take away the digital manipulation, and the reality is she just looks like a normal, healthy 70-year-old who had a totally successful procedure. Moving smoothly on to Act 2, the family identity. Let's talk about Khloé's paternity rumors. Khloé Kardashian has been dealing with relentless paternity theories for years. If we look at the timeline of public speculation, the reality, the family's reality, is Robert Kardashian. Then you have the most infamous rumor pointing to O.J. Simpson. And then, of course, the alternative internet theory pointing to a man named Alex Roldan. It's a completely chaotic mix of speculation that has overshadowed her personal life for well over a decade, basically turning her family tree into a spectator sport.
Now let's impartially look at the facts regarding that most explosive rumor. Prior to his passing in 2024, O.J. Simpson shut this down directly and unequivocally. He stated, "Robert Kardashian was like a brother to me. All these stories are bogus." He made it crystal clear he never had any romantic or intimate interest in Kris Jenner, fully refuting this conspiracy theory that somehow still manages to live on in internet comment sections today.
So, with the O.J. rumor denied by the source himself, the internet's focus shifts to the prevailing alternative theory, the hairstylist connection. Alex Roldan was Kris Jenner's longtime hairstylist, and people constantly point out a strong physical resemblance between him and Khloé. You've probably seen the side-by-side photos circulating online, right? Amateur sleuths post them as undeniable proof, fueling endless speculation and completely ignoring the family's boundaries of privacy.
But honestly, the most fascinating part of all this is Khloé's reaction. Normally, a celebrity dealing with this would drop a massive legal denial or a super dramatic emotional statement. Instead, when an internet commentator posted a video, quote-unquote, proving Alex Roldan was her father, Khloé's only public reaction was simply jumping into the comments to correct the pronunciation of his name. She literally just wrote, "His name is pronounced Raldan." It is an absolute masterclass in diffusing a rumor through sheer nonchalance.
The crucial point to take away from this act, though, is the establishment of personal boundaries. Despite this constant, swirling tornado of speculation, Khloé firmly and consistently refuses to take a DNA test. And why should she? To her, the father who raised her, loved her, and acted as her dad, Robert Kardashian, is her true father, blood-related or not. It's a really powerful statement that family identity is defined by lived reality, not by internet conspiracies or biological technicalities.
Okay, Act 3, the public fallout, cutting ties with Lamar. Let's walk through the sequence of events that permanently fractured whatever goodwill was left between Khloé and her ex-husband, Lamar Odom. It basically went down in 3 distinct steps. First, a documentary was released. Second, Lamar went on an aggressive press tour. And third, Khloé executed a final permanent cutoff of all communication. Let's look at why this escalated so quickly.
The catalyst was the documentary itself. Khloé willingly participated, giving an honest, vulnerable look at their deeply troubled marriage. And in return, Lamar made some incredibly harsh claims, suggesting he only got married to her for the clout. It was a completely jarring statement, especially since during his press appearances, he seemingly downplayed the massive role Khloé played in literally saving his life and aiding his recovery during his highly publicized medical emergency in 2015.
This ultimately led to a massive breaking point. Feeling completely played after participating in good faith, Khloé drew an absolute line in the sand. Her definitive boundary-setting statement was, "The bridge is burned and I have no more rope left to throw over. Period." It's a stark reminder that even public figures with endless media training have breaking points when their genuine trauma is utilized for someone else's publicity tour. And this strict boundary even impacted the broader family ecosystem. The Kardashians are famous for keeping their ex-partners close. Just look at Scott Disick or Tristan Thompson. However, this boundary was so severe that even Kris Jenner, the ultimate celebrity handler who famously maintains warm relationships with former partners, is strictly honoring Khloé's wishes. She confirms she will not make any phone calls to Lamar without Khloé's direct permission. That door is firmly closed. And that brings us to Act 4, the external impact, the curse.
This brings up a really sensational question dominating sports chatter right now. Is the infamous Kardashian curse real, and is it currently affecting Formula One? For years, there's been this persistent internet joke that athletes who date women in this family see their athletic performance plummet. And now, that rumor has attached itself to racing legend Lewis Hamilton, following reports that he has been publicly dating Kim Kardashian.
Looking at the recent numbers, you can objectively see exactly why his inner circle might be expressing concern. Lewis Hamilton is used to being at the very top of the podium, but recently, his placements have been uncharacteristically low. 4th in Australia, 3rd in China, and currently sitting at an overall 6th place. In the highly superstitious world of elite sports, any deviation from perfection instantly causes people to look for external variables to blame, totally regardless of the underlying mechanics of the car or the specific challenges of the season.
The pressure of this narrative is so intense that it's actually altering their behavior. Kim and Lewis recently vacationed together in Tokyo, right when a major race was taking place there. But Kim intentionally skipped attending the actual race. Why? Simply to avoid being caught on camera at the track. She knew full well that if Hamilton lost or placed poorly, the media and the fans would immediately point the finger at her presence as the cause.
So the crucial point is how an athlete handles this bizarre intersection of pop culture and professional sports. Hamilton is reportedly attempting to handle this immense added mental pressure by vowing to focus solely on his physical performance. He knows the only way to silence the noise from both the press and his own inner circle is to simply get back in the car, perform flawlessly, and win.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Looking back at Kris's surgery, Khloé's paternity, Lamar's public betrayal, and Lewis Hamilton's race stats, we really have to ask, can public figures ever truly separate their private lives from their public narratives? When the distortion field is this unbelievably strong, your reality is constantly being rewritten by millions of strangers. It really is a steep, steep price to pay for living in the public eye. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore these fascinating realities. Keep questioning what you see, and I'll catch you on the next one.